Well, welcome back, everybody.
What's going on?
Happy first Dork Discourse of the year, y'all.
Happy New Year.
Frick yeah, happy
2024.
Sweet goodness. It is 2024, my gosh.
We're in this.
Whether we like it or not,
We're in it.
the years start coming and they don't stop coming, as a wise man once said. But let's go. Sorry, we haven't streamed in a few weeks. I know we promised a stream the week of the Christmas holiday, and then we completely didn't do one. One of the special guests that we wanted to have on was unavailable, and I also forgot to pack my microphone. So I probably should have made an announcement in hindsight since I had hyped it up, and then we just kind of didn't do it. But regardless, we haven't checked in with you guys since the holiday season has come. I guess it's still going on. Still, some people still have off here to celebrate the new year. If that's the case, I hope you've been enjoying your downtime the whole time here, whole latter half of the month and the last few weeks of the holiday season. I hope you guys had a great celebration, whatever you were celebrating, and that you rung in the new year in a fun and safe way. I'm sorry, I'm still under the weather, hence why we're not going for the full. I think our last Dork Discourse we went for like 3 hours. That is not going to be the case tonight.
Intense ranking.
Yes, I did not. Neither of us foresaw that. Alas, that will not be happening this evening, unfortunately. Still a little under the weather. Mic volume's low. Whoops. I'm also speaking low because I don't have max strength. I have no health. Wait, I actually have no health. Alright, that's a little too loud. I'll pump it down to here. We'll monitor it. Thank you for the heads up, Sal.
Testing.
Bird Church must have been there watching Tom's stream. Congrats on the old master skin.
Thank you, Bird Church. Long awaited.
Yes, Tom was grinding for that for a long time. But forget what I was saying. Oh yeah, still under the weather. Hence why hashtag I have no health. So we'll probably just go for an hour tonight, but we don't have too much really to discuss. Of course, everyone and their mother is doing this on their respective channels right now. We'll probably talk about the year to come for film and television, not just Star Wars. We've got freaking Avatar, we've got House of the Dragon. But in terms of Star Wars, we actually have a surprising amount. I think I kind of actually underestimated the slate that is scheduled for this year. I think I was fixated on the fact that Andor got pushed back to 2025, but we still have Bad Batch, Final Season, Acolyte, Skeleton. Sorry. Trying to talk under my breath. Oh my god, that's actually so embarrassing. Skeleton Crew. Y'all know how I feel about that one. What else? Tales of the Jedi, allegedly. Another season of that.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually have a pretty good slate for Star Wars and other stuff in the mix. The next Dune film is coming out. Alex reminded me he's hyped for that. So lots in the film and television sphere that we have to look forward to this year. So I figured we would discuss that. Maybe we can discuss what our highlights were from last year, since we never really did like an end of the year roundup. I obviously did over on Evil Ewok. Patrick Kelly, welcome to the apprentice level.
Patrick!
Let's go. Thank you so much, Patrick. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's freaking awesome. Thank you. First new member of the year. Let's go.
Yep. Welcome to the crew. To the gang.
Did Kat just say she has no health? Yes, for those of you who get that reference. Hashtag I really have no health. So we're not going to push it tonight, but we didn't want to, we want to get back on our schedule. We didn't want to miss the first week of the year, because our resolution last month was to keep this regular. So yeah, figured we can, but on top of all that, we can get started with a brief little review. It will be brief because Tom, I'll let him explain for himself. But we finally watched Rebel Moon last night after quite a bit of hyping it up here on the channel. Wanted to share my thoughts a little bit, since I did spend an entire episode of the podcast talking about it and hyping it up. So I can't back down now. before we get into that, Sean, member for 2 months on the master level.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, my friend. I hope you
Shout
feel
out,
better,
Sean.
Kat. Honestly, sincerely happy to be a part of the community and crew. Sending much love and care. Thank you, Sean. I'm definitely on the upswing. I'm doing way better. And we are so grateful that you are here, and we are a better community because you're here. So thank you. Thank you so, so much. Thanks, and looking forward to the membership, says Patrick Kelly. It's great to see your name in green. On our end, the members' names show up, their usernames turn green, so thank you. Oh, in the chat as well.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, never mind. Everybody can see.
Yeah.
Oh, duh. We're looking at the same chat as everybody. Can you tell it's only been a year since I've seen y'all. God, I'll take myself out. I'll leave. But yes, Rebel Moon. And I promise my energy right now is not entirely reflective of how I feel about it. I'm just low energy in general. Aiden, what's up? And Lord Fal, Happy New Year to you and Alice and Kyle. Let's go!
Gang. Whole
Okay,
squad here
let's
tonight. Let's go.
I know I didn't do shout outs. I'm so out of whack. Apologies, everybody. Charlie, Preston, Matthew, Dan the Man. Yes, Dan, I did see. I have to get back to you. I'm still getting back into checking email mode. So forgive me. Andrew is here. Sal, Bird Church. Gang's all here. Ben Solo made an appearance. Let's go. Caver was here. Squad's back. Squad's showing up. Fresh for the new year. Where was I?
Rebel Moon.
Yes. Still haven't seen Rebel Moon, says Sean. And, how do I... you guys know, I was extremely hyped for it. And then I think that literal day that we talked about it on stream, and I was praising the fact that if Rebel Moon does really well, it could totally open a whole new door for independent, non-IP, not that it's independent film by any means, it's Zack Snyder, very professional, very prestigious, but it could still open the door for new IPs being developed specifically in the sci-fi realm that aren't coming from books, comic books, video games, stuff like that. Like an original IP is something I feel like we haven't gotten in a little while. And if anything, there's kind of IP fatigue happening, I think, in the film and television space. So with Rebel Moon, I really thought it could be, if it does well, it could totally open a whole new door. Also, shout out to whoever changed the lights. Let's go. Yes, I always forget to remind you guys. Members, you can change the lights if you just type a exclamation point and a color. No space in the chat. And now that includes the new background ones too. So anyway, unfortunately, unfortunately, this is where I'm going with this. We had that stream, we were talking about, this could be amazing, and it was also being heralded as the new Star Wars, or Zack Snyder's rendition of Star Wars, and so there was a lot riding on it. And unfortunately, I do, in hindsight now, think that marketing it as such was a little bit to its detriment, because again, I went in thinking that it was Star Wars, and if anything, I was getting very, very different vibes. It certainly had quite a lot. Like, they did not shy away from the fact that it is heavily inspired by that universe. But I was getting, it felt very much like, at times, like Pirates of the Caribbean to me. That sounds so bizarre. I don't know, maybe if anyone has any ideas to why, if you're a fellow Pirates fan, Pirates of the Caribbean, Guardians of the Galaxy, like, a very different tone. I think, I don't want to say I liked it. Like, it was, I'm excited for the second part, and I'll talk about what I liked. I do think it could have benefited from maybe being like a mini series or a limited series, more episodic, because all of the characters, it had a lot of cool ideas and a lot of cool characters, and just didn't have the proper runtime to flesh them all out and give them all the time I think that their stories warranted. It had almost too many good things going on, and I wanted to see more of all of these people. I definitely was invested by the end. I guess I should have even... I'm so out of whack right now. I don't even know if I'm going to spoil anything or not. Maybe I'll give a no spoiler. This will be no spoilers, because I haven't said anything yet.
I don't think there needs to be any spoilers.
Yeah, so no spoilers. But I was invested. I just had wished, the crew that they assemble is a great ensemble, and I just kind of wished that they each maybe even had their own episode of a mini series. It's kind of like that. Too much of a good thing pushed into a time constraint that unfortunately I think, was a little bit of a detriment versus I know Zack Snyder's famous for having his own Snyder cuts that are like 4 hours long, so I would be curious what his intended runtime would be. All that said, in regards to it being hailed as the new Star Wars, I think one thing that it has that modern Star Wars I think lacks and I want to see more of from is real consequences, like real threat, a real awesome villain, the antagonist, played by I think his name's Ed Skrine.
Yeah, people
Screen.
actually dying
Yes.
is
Very high stakes
yeah.
and a very foreboding antagonist who he was phenomenal. Um so that is one thing that I really loved. Tom, do you want to share share the reality of your viewing experience?
Sure. Well, we started watching after dinner, and um, I was intrigued after the intro and started watching it, and it was kind of intense beginning with the soldiers landing on the farm and the townsfolk dealing with the soldiers and their occupation, and then there's a intense scene between all the soldiers and a helpless woman. And it was very tense. Very intense. You felt the stakes. It was more adult themes and tone, and you really felt the presence of the tyrannical government. But then I don't remember anything from then until the very last scene of the movie, because I was going in and out of consciousness the entire time.
Yep.
Going planet hopping and gathering the troops, and my brain was not able to maintain focus
I
and
honestly,
attention. But then I stirred awake for the finale.
yeah, for intense moments, but yeah, Tom didn't really get much of it. And I don't know, do you have an interest in actually watching the full thing, like to get the full story, or?
Well, I think I got the full story,
Yeah.
and I missed a lot of it. So, um, I think, yeah, to your point, it seemed like it was very drawn out in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not a lot of like real plot there.
It's interesting because here I am saying that it could have benefited from being drawn out more, but in a way, I still believe that because it could have each of the characters. If you haven't watched it, you'll see. If you have watched it, you know who I'm talking about. The ragtag crew that they rally up. They're all really interesting in their own right, and they all have this deep backstory, and it's just kind of like I think that would benefit from being drawn out episodically, but it could have also benefited, I think, from being condensed into a more of a montage-esque way of telling the story and then kind of getting more to the meat of the conflict. But I mean, I'm still excited. Listen, it's still I'm still gonna watch the second part, and if anything, I think the second part I'm more excited about because there was a lot of exposition they had to do. That's another thing. It actually got me thinking, and this is where we can segue. Somebody made a really good point, like Star Wars could benefit, yes, from who was it? Matthew said something like, if done right, yeah, Acolyte could fill the role of having like actually good villains. I think that's actually going to be very true.
That is a great point.
I think a lot of the marketing for Acolyte has been that they are going to focus on dark side users and stuff like that and the conflict between, and they have open realm, open freedom, clean slate to establish some new villains, which I think will be really exciting. And hopefully they're as foreboding and you know, really come off as a threat. That's one thing that I feel like I've just not resonated with in recent Star Wars as of late. The villains just don't feel, nobody's come anywhere close to Vader, you know? I don't think, granted, that's a huge
And
bar.
even Thrawn.
Not even, yeah, no,
They
yeah.
spent multiple shows and the entire last 4 episodes, 3 or 4 episodes of Ahsoka, hyping up Thrawn, and within the live action realm, he still has done nothing. He has done nothing. He has done nothing of consequence that's worth the reputation that he's been given by all these other people saying, "Oh, this is Thrawn. Thrawn's a threat. What's going on with Thrawn? Like, Thrawn can't come back. Thrawn. It's like all in verbal space, but we haven't seen, even still, we've not seen anything in live action to make you feel threatened by
Right.
Thrawn.
You need
Now,
proof.
with the Rebels context and seeing his military prowess in action in Rebels, you understand that he's quite the tactical mastermind, and you even get glimpses of his physical combat skills. But he hasn't done some horrific deed, some genocide, some execution, something to dictate his reputation that they're trying to set up through
Yeah.
just talking about him.
Something to justify the fear in which everyone is speaking about him,
Yes.
and the thought of him returning.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, if you watch, I think Ahsoka live action definitely relies heavily on, you have to have watched Rebels to relate to the threat and understand where their fear is coming from and the concern there. But if you've never seen Rebels, yeah, live action Thrawn is still a great character. This is not against Lars Mikkelsen at all. It's nothing he did. He was perfect. He was phenomenal. I said it a million times during my reactions. Nobody else could have done this role except for him. So that is not where my qualms are by any means. I just think that he needed more time to shine, more time to demonstrate what we all saw in Rebels. Because, and
Well, it's
that's,
not just Thrawn; it's Gideon too.
well, everyone
Like,
knows how I
oh,
feel about that.
Moff Gideon died. He shouldn't be alive. Like, Moff Gideon was trialed for war crimes in the Purge. Like, we hear all this raw about Moff Gideon, but even he hasn't done anything.
Well, we get to see.
He hasn't killed. Has he killed a single person? I don't think he's even killed anyone
Yeah, we
himself.
have. We've seen him. I'm pretty sure we have.
No, I don't think we have.
Um,
Has Moff Gideon killed someone on screen at any point? Not that killing people needs to make you a villain, but like, they don't. There's nothing. Like, even when we saw the Purge flashbacks, like, we didn't see him in the Purge. He wasn't, like, we didn't see him doing anything.
yeah.
It's like Moff Gideon's been the main villain of the Mandalorian series, and his whole background is just through words. We haven't seen it yet. It's through stories.
Yeah.
It's the same with Thrawn. Book of Boba Fett.
Who even was the villain? The Pikes.
The Pikes. We didn't really see them do anything until the end. They actually blew up that bar.
That's true.
We did see them blow up the bar. So the Pikes get the one up there. But Cad Bane, we didn't really see him do anything in live action. I mean, he killed the right hand man of Cobb Vanth. And Andor, we've got Cereal Boy, Captain Crunchman, and Dedra. I mean, we've seen Cereal Man. What does Cereal Man do besides eat cereal?
He's still everyone, and that is one thing I will say. But I hesitate to even call the villains in Andor, even though very much so.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
Andor depicts the Empire to be this tyrannical, awful system.
And I guess technically, not Yularen, but the guy under Yularen is the real villain.
The guy
and he goes and murders Saws, like that other rebel group, and he's talking. But even then, we don't see it. We don't see it. We just hear about it. We hear, oh, the Empire went and murdered this rebel cell.
But Andor still
Of course, you
does
don't
enough.
see it. It makes you feel the stakes more, but just through the writing and the
Yeah,
dialogue. And
Andor
Andor,
still
yes,
does enough
that's
where they
true.
can get away with having off-screen issues like that. Somebody mentioned Star Wars needs a villain like Ramsay Bolton. I don't think that's ever gonna. I don't think we're ever gonna get somebody that violent
But
and
you just,
deranged.
I mean, like Pong Krell. Pong Krell is
Good villain.
Ramsay Bolton-esque. Like
Good
that
villain.
dude just sucks. You hate him just through his words and his action and how he treats the clones. Like everyone watching that show just instantly hates Pong Krell.
That's a good point. There is a visceral feeling when you think of Ramsay Bolton, Joffrey Lannister, another Game of Thrones villain.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar, even if you've never seen Game of Thrones, I'm sure you've heard of these people because Game of Thrones villains are epic, legendary, and they arouse visceral hatred from the audience. Like that's something I haven't felt for a Star Wars villain, except for really like Andor when they're like, torturing Bix and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like that's
But to be
something.
fair, in Star Wars, like Vader and Palpatine, like you kind of just hate Palpatine because he's just pure evil and he wipes out all the Jedi. Like watching Revenge of the Sith, you're at somewhat of that relationship with Palpatine.
Oh yeah. Order
Vader, you
66,
never really
yes.
hate him. Vader is just ruthless, cutthroat, and 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 shows no mercy. But even in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin kills all the younglings and he kills all the Jedi, it's like you're more sad, more of so like hating Anakin. Like the hatred's funneled towards Palpatine, but you're just like sad watching Anakin seeing what
No,
he's become.
I'm not
right?
saying you have to have hatred, but I'm just saying I'm trying to make a point. The villains in Game of Thrones, there's a whole spectrum of villains. Like I said in Andor, I wouldn't even consider people like characters like Dedra and Cyril to be villains because it shows their point of view of things as well, and that they genuinely believe they're in the right and they're on a pursuit and they have dreams and ambitions. So part of you is like almost like, y'all know I was rooting for Dedra up until the torture scene, and then I was like, re-questioning everything. So yeah, there's a spectrum. You don't have to necessarily hate villains. The point I'm trying to make though is Game of Thrones, those people came on screen, your blood boiled. You were just waiting. Like, how are these people gonna get their karma? Like, I had a clear point of view, opinion about them, and they garnered some reaction from within me, an emotional. Like that's how Game of Thrones makes you feel like about the bad guys. Just like you're just waiting for them to get what's coming to them. With recent Star Wars, Moff Gideon, perfect example. It's like I don't even know how I feel about him because I still want to see more. I need more of him. We don't get enough of them to the point of that I can feel necessarily a clear-cut point of view. So that is the reason I'm really excited. I think Acolyte could try to segue back to looking forward to things we're excited about. I think Acolyte, y'all know I've been that's probably the project I am most excited about in the upcoming slate of Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, it's been my most anticipated project outside of Kenobi.
Right,
easily.
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, T-Money, that's a good point. Rampart did suck.
Good
Rampart
point, T-Money.
Was a POS.
Actually valid, very
Scum.
valid.
So
we know it's possible. They can have really, really good antagonists and villains. And I think Acolyte is going to do that, and hopefully Acolyte does something similar. Because correct me if I'm wrong, does the focus lean more towards focusing on the Sith students? I think
it's exactly what it is.
So it will hopefully show. I mean, I know there's Jedi and whatnot, based on the marketing and stuff that we've seen at Celebration, but I think it is gonna also equally focus on the two, Sith and Jedi, which is something that Andor does really well to help build the villains. Like, yeah, split the screen time, show us their whole journey as well. So I think Andor will hopefully remedy the what?
Alice, POS does not stand for prisoner of something. Piece of
No! Oh my god, we're gonna get freaking demonetized.
Yeah, Hemlock also sucks. That's a good point too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, I'm hyped for. I'm obviously hyped for Tales of the Jedi, especially depending on who they choose, who they focus on.
Yeah.
I really loved that one, and I hope that based on the popular public reception, they see. Dave Filoni spoke so humbly about them. He was like, "Oh, these were just literally 10-minute side stories that I planned, just jotted down for fun." And then like they blew up, and it was some of the coolest, Dooku, those episodes and whatnot, some of the coolest shiz. So I hope that maybe they even expand upon them and make them full length, because I think some of the episodes were literally like 11 minutes or something like that. Granted, I'm not going to be like ungrateful if they don't continue to be, but I definitely I think it would be fun if they expanded them after seeing, oh, people really responded well. When Tales of the Jedi dropped, there was really widespread hype. I feel like everyone was pretty much in agreement that it was elite.
Yeah. I will give The Mandalorian credit though, because season 1, when they kill Queel at the end, second last episode, that was a very very sad moment. Very impactful moment.
Who has died in Mandalorian since then? Main character wise.
I mean, Paz
Vizsla. Never mind. I lied.
But I think that's it. I don't think anyone dies in season 2.
Yeah.
Book of Boba, no one dies.
Well, everyone in the cantina.
Well, yeah, all the civilians got murdered. And then Cad Bane dies. But none of the main characters.
Yeah.
Not even Cobb Bane.
Peace out, T-Money. Good to see you for a little bit. Thanks for tuning in.
But yeah, and then season 3, yeah, Paz dies. Gideon allegedly dies.
Allegedly.
But none of the heroes besides Paz.
Right. Yeah.
And then Ahsoka, no one dies.
True. Well, except for the few people in the fleet with Hera when they go and they
those don't
go
count.
to hyperspace.
Those don't count. In fact, those are the only people I think who die
in the whole show.
Yeah. Which, not that death equates to a good show,
what's
but
her
the
name?
death
Morgan
equates to
Elsbeth.
stakes.
Yes, high stakes.
Which, coming back to Rebel Moon, there's certainly death.
Mm-hmm.
They're not shying away from that. They're not shying away of the threat of someone at the wrong place at the wrong time could die to the hands of these people.
Yeah.
It's not far-fetched to believe that.
It's definitely darker.
Yeah.
No, and the villain that you can they make it very, very clear how little regard he has for other life. And so it does raise the stakes. It makes him an intriguing character. Also, his performance, again, a lot of it rides entirely on he was just phenomenal, and I think he had some of the better writing, and just his, I think he just did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I have hopes though that Acolyte will also, this is something we've all kind of been craving from Star Wars, that we've constantly gotten teases of, and then it kind of does a 180. For example, long ago, the Battlefront campaign with Iden Versio, and you think, yes, I'm gonna get to play as the bad guy. Like, we're gonna get a whole story from the villain's perspective, and this will give us a whole new lens to look through. Maybe we're gonna empathize with her, like we're gonna see what it's like on the other side, and then she ends up joining the rebellion and whatnot. Spoilers, even though that campaign has been out for like 10 years now. Yes. So so it's kind of like oh shoot, But everyone, we were all really excited about the possibility of seeing a new point of view, perspective. Book of Boba Fett, we all thought it was going to be a little bit more dark, gritty underground. Some of his associates, some of the more sleazy types in the galaxy that he's going to be dealing with. Um, and that wasn't necessarily a huge portion of the show. So I hope that like Acolyte doesn't lead astray, and that it does really show that different, or Andor does it really well as well too. You get to see the inner workings, the personal lives of the alleged villains, and when you understand their motivations, you ask yourself, can I really refer that to them as the villain? Like, because they don't believe that they are. Um, um, don't be afraid to talk about Rings of Power. Oh, thank you, Mark. In terms of not being afraid to utter those words on the channel out of fear that the Lord of the Rings fandom is going to come for me. I know. Luckily, they didn't. Not luckily, but I'm not sure when that second season is slated to hit Amazon Prime. Probably still gonna be a while. Although they are in development. I don't know if they've wrapped filming yet, but I know they're working on it, so could be sooner than we think, perhaps. Um, but yeah, Acolyte, definitely what I'm most excited for. Other than, of course, I'm more so even maybe excited for the non-Star Wars stuff. Avatar, and of course House of the Dragon. If anything, I think the second season is about to be elite. And I think it also will benefit from kind of similarly what I was saying with Rebel Moon. There was a lot of exposition, so I feel like part two, I'm looking forward to the second movie because they've done all that now and established everything, so they can maybe just get into the meat of the conflict sooner versus you know, where am I going with this? House of the Dragon also, season one, quite a lot of exposition, a lot of time jumps, covered a lot of ground within, is that 10 episodes? 8 episodes? It was 10, yes. So I'm excited. I think season two is gonna hit the ground freaking running. Um, I do have something I was thinking about while watching Rebel Moon. Um, because I have been, it was touted as Star Wars-esque, so I did, as much as I tried to alleviate that pressure of going in and having that expectation, like it's gonna be like Star Wars, it was hard. I couldn't fully do it, so I had that lens the whole time of perceiving it kind of to be like, all right, this is his at least interpretation of Star Wars, or just, this is his idea. This is an idea he had for the Star Wars universe, allegedly, Zack Snyder. So that's how I was watching it, and I couldn't shake that, and I couldn't help but wonder, like, here I am always preaching that I'm very much excited for new Star Wars, new characters. Let's get out of this current time frame. The galaxy is massive and has freaking eons or whatever of time to it. Like, let's go freaking 50,000 years in either direction in the Star Wars universe and get a whole new story, whole new people, whole new protagonists. But as I was watching Rebel Moon, and I was finding it hard to get invested a little bit, I was like, maybe I should be careful what I wish for with Star Wars. Like, would this be an issue? Say this was an actual, well, now that I'm verbalizing it, I was like, say if this was an actual Star Wars movie, and it was like touted as like Star Wars, like never seen, totally new time period in the universe, new characters, nothing of familiarity is involved at all. It's not tethered to anything familiar. I was like, as I was watching Rebel Moon, I was like, would I be interested? Because I was having a hard time getting into Rebel Moon. Again, like I said, I think it was a lot of good things. I would have loved to see more, like more expanded, episodic, but like I think it could have really benefited from more. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm saying I wish I had more opportunity to get a little bit more invested and drawn in. Um, so I don't know. What is everyone's thoughts? Like, if there were to be complete standalone, completely new people, new cast, new characters, absolutely no affiliation with any of this 50-year time period that we are pretty much
It's like
fixated
100.
on. 100-year time period that we are fixated on in Star Wars. Um, oh, wait, I want to address Sal's comment. Did you watch The Continental? Yeah, we did. I freaking loved it. We really loved it. I'll freaking watch any and all John Wick content. I just literally it's so good. So I really liked the series. Um, Tom still hasn't seen the full ending because he keeps falling
It's
asleep.
true. I missed the ending.
I've watched it like 3 times. Tom still hasn't watched the last like 10 minutes. So, but I really liked it. It was awesome. And I hope they have more. There is going to be the John Wick spin-off films and stuff like that. But I just had to acknowledge that. Glad you liked it as well, Sal. But
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know.
I think what Star Wars does well is that it starts small, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You get invested, really invested into one character. You get some teases of his background and his family history. Then he gets hit with tragedy when his parents are barbecued.
Oh, I was gonna say
And
toasted.
then you get thrown into the whole wide world and the rules that take place in that world.
That's true.
It doesn't just throw you into chaos.
So you think in order to, if we do, someone who is this who said, Visitor's Data, I would love for Star Wars to be set 1,000 years later, whole new cast, no Skywalkers, no Palpatines, no Ahsoka. You think it could still be successful if it follows the same familiarity of Star Wars that we are conditioned with,
Yeah,
like
I think
starting
you just have to
small?
start small with the character and then go big,
Hmm.
right? Like one thing that the Phantom Menace, A New Hope, and Force Awakens all do is you start off with in the middle of some conflict. A New Hope, you have Vader pursuing Leia, and they have their little battle, and Vader reveals himself. Phantom Menace, you have Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan going onto the Trade Federation ship and then battling the droids before they go to Naboo. Force Awakens, you have Poe talking with Lor Santeca, and they get raided by Kylo Ren in the First Order, and it's the the conflict and the villains of the movie making their appearance first. But then all three then switch to the small scope main character driven story. Right? You go to Luke and then you find Luke and learn a little bit about Luke, and then tragedy strikes Luke. You have young Anakin. They run into young Anakin. He has his moment. You learn about him and his background and his crazy, ungodly connection to the Force. And then tragedy strikes and he's pulled away from his mother. And then you have The Force Awakens, where then it switches to Rey. You don't really learn anything about her. Tragedy never strikes. And then she gets thrust. So that was kind of a sarcastic example. But technically it goes to Rey, and you follow Rey, and then Rey gets thrown into the greater galactic conflict.
Yeah.
So I think that of those three examples, I think A New Hope is so strong because, yeah, you learn about Luke, you see that he's pretty naive, but you get the backstory through Obi-Wan, learning about his father, and there's history and this whole backstory, and then you immediately get hit with tragedy, and he has no choice but to take that same path that his dad did, that Obi-Wan was just telling him about a few scenes ago. Versus Anakin in the Phantom Menace is a little different because he knows what the Jedi are. He has that backstory just like the audience does. So it's a little bit different take. It's not focused on building the Force and the world and everything that A New Hope had to do. It's more of saying, okay, how do we tie this young boy into everything that we already know?
Yeah.
Um, and also showing that he has an incredible connection to the Force naturally.
Richard Rogers, I like
But
your point. If there was ever a standalone Star Wars movie, we would all probably just watch it to see how it would turn out.
yeah,
That's true. And that's one thing that, Star Wars does have over, for example, a new IP like Rebel Moon. And listen, here I am saying, like, I did enjoy the movie. It's not like I absolutely despised it. I just have, I have a few critiques. Just a humble YouTuber with a few little critiques. Doesn't mean anything. But here I gotta give it to them because they at least still something that we don't see much of. A standalone, new IP, original sci-fi idea that isn't coming off of comic books or already existing books or video games, which are about to be the freaking exploding onto the scene of Hollywood and film and TV in the coming years. Like everything that we know in a fantastical or sci-fi realm exists in an already pre-established IP that is just obviously, of course, sorry. So for example, Rebel Moon, we might be witnessing history that it goes on to become, who knows, maybe 40 years from now, maybe Rebel Moon is going to have its own.
yeah, but I disagree because it didn't.
You didn't even watch the
you
whole
didn't
thing.
you didn't get any feeling of like motivation or drive to root for Korra.
You were asleep for all of that.
But it didn't start off in the beginning.
No, in the beginning
It doesn't. They
leave it in
they start at such a top level. Here's the state of this whole world that we don't know anything about, and here's these factions, and they just try and like explain it. Bam, 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 out of the gate. But it's not. There's no direct impact on the main character immediately.
Yeah.
Versus if you have a character and you start to get a feeling of that character and get attached to that character, and then they are forced, have no choice. The cards have been laid out and they are thrust and forced and shoved into whatever the grand conflict threat is. Then it's like, okay, here we go. We don't have any choice. What's going to happen next? And then you need the story to then back it up.
Yeah. No, but you definitely, Rebel Moon had a different formula wherein it peppers the backstory in throughout. I'm very much a just personal preference. I prefer to get that story up front. So, for example, again, no spoilers, but main character Korra, she
Avatar Korra.
not the same, differences. We know she has some baggage. She's running from something. She has something in her past that she's trying to escape. Then we, down the line, see her childhood and see in different increments
Oh, yeah, that's right.
what happens to her. But I'm very much like I prefer to see that up front, versus
it should be laid out, at least laid out up front. Like I think what A New Hope does great is Obi-Wan lays out the backstory.
It can be done well, though, in an example like Mandalorian. That was phenomenal. Because by the end of the season, I feel like, I don't know, I think Mando season 1 is a good example of how it's okay that we get story in a much way after the fact flashback, but it came at a really good time, and it makes sense for the character that you already have pretty established and developed, and you're already rooting for him anyway by that point. So like, I'm not saying I dislike all flashbacks, and if you're gonna give me a character's history, just give it to me straight.
But that's a good point, because it's not about the backstory. A New Hope, you don't really get that much backstory, and the backstory you get is vague and a lie.
Yeah.
But the Mandalorian, the reason that pilot works so well is because it's just this guy who only cares about himself. He's a gunslinger. He's just a man for hire. Yeah. Can he fight? Yeah. Is he flashy? Yeah. Is he cool? Yeah. Does he have a nice voice? Yeah.
Does he have a nice
But it's when he meets the child at the end, and you can tell based on the way it's written and scripted and acted, it's like, what is this? And from that point forward, he has forcibly thrown and thrust into what we know as the greater Star Wars lore of the Force and the Jedi, and he's now intertwined with that, and it's like he's fully thrust into what Star Wars is and ties him to Star Wars. It's not just some random gunslinger.
No, that's a very good point, and that's a personal preference thing for me. Like, I'm very much, I don't like being delivered the exposition via monologue of things that happened off screen or happened long ago in the past, and Rebel Moon has to do a lot of that, which is why I'm looking forward to the second part.
Same with Dune.
Well,
Dune does the same thing. Dune's just like, here's all this crazy stuff, and now here's the character.
You can't now. Listen,
does the same
Dune's
thing.
a whole other beast.
Dune does the same
Dune's a whole
thing.
other beast.
Same thing.
I will not accept Dune slander here. That is something we're just gonna have to disagree on that forever. I'm going to see the second movie by myself. I'm not even gonna take you. Speaking of places where Tom fell asleep. Yeah, you'll be able to hear it from over here. Speaking of places where Tom has fallen asleep. But well, we do have about 15 minutes left. I know you usually like to do a poll. Do you have any ideas for this evening?
Well, before we talk about a poll, we haven't even talked about another show that's currently running that we talked about previously.
Oh, frick, Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson.
Yes.
I know someone made a comment about Percy Jackson earlier.
Yeah, why don't you
said that they were really enjoying it.
Take the lead since you read the books, and one thing we were really hyping up is that the original author was very hands-on in the production of the show. So do you think it has succeeded and crossed over his vision from the books?
I think so. I think it's really good. I think that the tone, it's a serious tone, but still shown from a child like lens, very naive, innocent lens, but you can tell that the stakes are high, the way that it's shot and the music and the dialogue. So yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it. I think all the major moments so far in the first 3 episodes that happen have hit really well. I think they've done a great job of emphasizing the importance of the handful of very important moments that we've gotten in the first 3 episodes. So yeah, Jerry, you're liking it.
Everyone's
nice.
liking
Al's
it.
liking it.
And
Stanley's liking it. Yeah, let's go.
This is something I was really excited and hopeful to see. Something I was very curious is, even myself personally, and we'll see, I guess we'll find out too. They're a little bit older in the live action Avatar series, but I don't often really watch shows that follow a very, very young cast, like younger protagonists. And these are seemingly age appropriately cast actors who do have that youth and innocence of like a 12 or 13-year-old, very much so. So I was curious how that was going to, especially because we live in a world where freaking you have shows like Euphoria that are high schoolers and they're played by 30-year-old actors. Our perception of what young people is supposed to be, I stand corrected. Cobra Kai does a really good job with this, breaking the mold of casting kids that actually look like they're in high school and not 30-year-old grown men. And this is no shade, literally no shade at all to Euphoria, or I would not want to see that show. A show like that with age-appropriate actors, that is awful. That would be horrific. That would be illegal. That would be so bad. So the content of Euphoria would not it is better served because everyone is much more mature. Yes.
Actors.
Yes. But
if you're going to show what they show in that show.
It's not just Euphoria. That's an extreme example. But most shows that we watch today that focus on high school or middle school aged individuals cast older people. And there's also reasons for that. It's easier to cast someone who is older than 18, XYZ, for working stuff purposes and things like that. Anyway. Not bashing Euphoria. Not bashing that. But we are accustomed to a trend.
You got to be on Euphoria. It's like the hottest show on the HBO
Well,
market.
the current situation is when's the next season coming out?
This
so
year, I think.
no, it's like been put on some mega hold.
Oh.
But anyway, point is, I'm very curious how adults would perceive a show that does have that actual true to age youth and innocence of like 12 and 13-year-olds. And I think it doesn't even literally apply. And if anything, I think it raises the stakes and makes the whole situation way more intriguing and highlights how special these kids are. Like they're 12-year-olds going to camp wielding swords, learning to hone their magical capabilities and whatnot. So it escalates things for me if I were to see a young actual kid doing something like that versus the original movie where they don't look like they're 30, but they look a little bit older. They look like, at least 17 or something like that. So I think it adds a way more interesting dynamic, and you do care more, I think, because it's like these kids are just out doing their own thing. They're on their own. And yeah, Lord Fowl, the cast is so young because that's how old they are in the books. And yeah, I think Rick Riordan was very hands-on in the casting process, and had quite a say.
Executive producer.
And
so is his wife.
Yeah,
they're both executive producers.
Yeah, so and I think it shows. It's just a good testament to what happens when you get original author or the original creator on board. So I am, speaking about Avatar, I am very relieved and glad that the rumors that they were going to age everybody up did not come to fruition, because I think it'll be a similar experience watching that show and seeing the young actor for Aang looks very young, you know. Something else came to mind. I think I lost it, but I'm really digging the Percy Jackson show. It's been very enjoyable. You still sound sick. Yeah, I haven't blown my nose the entirety of this stream, and I really have to, so that's why it's getting more and more. The build-up is making me sound husky. Sweet Lord, no! Yeah, maybe if I was a 2-year-old. That's what freaking moms do to, like, their babies. Do you have anything in mind for a poll? Do you have anything for a poll today?
Yeah. You want me to do it right now?
Yes, because we usually takes about like 10 minutes or so to do a poll. So.
Poll time. Poll time.
Oh, this one's gonna take a while. Are you okay if I read out the prompts as you type them? Because many people don't. For some reason, the poll function is still glitching. For some people, they can't see what the question is or what the options are. So, are you all right with if I read them out now so that people have them, so that they can think about it?
Sure.
All right. Tonight's poll prompt shall be: what is your most anticipated project for 2024? First tier will be House of the Dragon. Second tier will be Acolyte. Third will be Avatar, referencing the Last Airbender live action Netflix show. And Tom is typing, so we'll see what the fourth is, but I think I know. We didn't really talk much about it, but... Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
One? What were you thinking?
Skeleton.
No, I was gonna do... I'm treating Acolyte as the most anticipated Star Wars project. So I only put one Star Wars project on there.
Listen, I'm gonna save myself some neurons and not freak out about Skeleton Crew like I have in the past. But if y'all have tuned into our latest podcast episodes, you know how I feel. I will believe it when I see it. Even when I see it, I won't fully believe it because I won't get into it. Bird Church member for 12 months. Thank you so much, my friend. Happy 12-month anniversary. Happy New Year to everyone, and Happy New Year to you, my friend. Very, very, very grateful for you here. And you also tune in a lot to Tom's gaming stream, so shout out.
Yeah, Bird Church is a McBots regular.
Yeah.
Sure. Much appreciated, sir. Much appreciated.
All right, let's go, Acolyte. Let's go.
Yeah, it's pretty tight race here. I'm not surprised Acolyte is in first.
No,
I think that makes sense.
I think it's gonna be hype.
I think we're
Daddy Josh.
given the majority Star
They
Wars
could
audience
be.
here, I think that makes sense. How dare you? That was tough to vote. Yeah, it is tough to vote. It is because I mean, let's be real. We're gonna watch all of them.
Oh yeah, no,
We're
we're
gonna watch all of
literally.
them.
And just because you pick one, it doesn't mean you don't want to see the others.
Yeah, I think probably
See,
for me, it's between Acolyte and Avatar.
I'm gonna go House of the Dragon or Dune, TBH. And this is after I just. All right, actually no, not Dune.
What?
I'll get all right. It's for me House of the Dragon or Acolyte, but House of the Dragon's a little bit in the lead, just because we know we've seen the quality of House of the Dragon, and this is in no way, shape, or form saying that I am doubting whatever Acolyte is gonna be, but I know quality has been something inconsistent, and everyone has different preferences in amongst the live action Star Wars shows, and that's just been a common thread, a common critique amongst the fandom, and people like different shows. So, if Andor, or I keep getting them mixed up, if Acolyte is in the same caliber as Andor, and I'm not saying it has to be. I'm not saying that every Star Wars project going forth has to be like Andor. But Andor is where my bar is because it's my favorite and it was amazing.
Yeah, in terms of production
It was amazing.
value and quality, it's hands down,
especially since we
undeniably the best looking, highest production value show.
Especially since
it also has had the biggest budget.
Yeah.
But it's leaps and bounds visually.
Yeah.
From
it's
any
amazing.
of the other Star Wars shows.
And it's on location. That is one thing that's reassuring. I think they did work with a set. They did build some sort of set so that they could have an on location vibe for Acolyte. So that's a good omen.
Yeah.
But again, that's not to suggest that I doubt that the quality is going to be good by any means. It's just I know that quality has been something that people have disagreements about with Star Wars as of late, and especially since we are going, back to an uncharted timeline. They get to play around and do what they want and have different look, different aesthetic, different styles, different settings. So
Acolyte, that's something that Acolyte has going for it. It's in a period of the timeline that we don't have any real understanding of. Yes, High Republic era and all the books and the comics and all that stuff, that's been out there to kind of build up that time period. But we have no clue outside of that. We don't have any idea. It's a brand new time period. It's an intriguing time period with where it is in the timeline, like 100 years before Phantom Menace. And it's supposed to follow Sith acolytes.
Yep.
Dark side. So tonally, it's different than it's being pitched as being different from any of their Star Wars projects. So I will say though, since we don't know anything,
there is more.
There is a under the iceberg giant flop potential that could happen.
No, but we are going in way more blind.
I'm probably going to give Avatar my most anticipated title, because we know that the production quality looks fantastic from the trailer. We know obviously the story is incredible. It's just how do they execute it in live action is the real risk, because we've seen that ask to be too tall in the past, and there's been flop city there. Versus Acolyte, we don't know anything about the story, so if the story's not good, or if it tonally is not where we think it should be, like there's risks with that it could be a flop. Versus House of the Dragon, I think tonally they've set the tone.
Yes.
We know what the tone is going to be, and it's going to be more intense than it even was in the first season. So I think that like House of the Dragon, we know what we're getting.
Yeah.
But I almost think to a fault where I'm not that excited for it.
Well, with Acolyte, it's all new.
Yeah.
I'm very excited in regards to like what's this gonna be, versus like House of the Dragon, it's gonna be good. But yeah, there is an excitement, and there's been an intrigue surrounding Acolyte the second that they announced it, and it's been the longest one we've had to wait for. I'm not sure what the slated release dates are and how they're gonna be split up, Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, but it feels like this has been the longest wait for the one we've all been most curious about.
Yeah.
So that is a good point. I'm excited maybe for that one the most in regards to just sheer what is this gonna be?
Yeah.
Curiosity. Somebody, I think it was Daddy Josh, a little bit. Daddy Josh mentioned that he's only seen one season of Game of Thrones. Would you recommend continuing?
Yeah, totally.
At your own caution,
Absolutely.
my man.
It's totally worth going through, and
It is.
you have the opportunity of watching it all the way through and
Not
getting
waiting.
an ending. You don't have to wait for the ending. So I think that you have an advantage, and you should just go through and check it out and watch it.
Gotta go watch
but-
Percy Jackson. See you, Lord Fel. Wait,
enjoy
yes.
Lord Fowl.
Oh wait, did an episode drop, or does it drop at 9 p.m. for us here? Because I think it comes out on Wednesdays. We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
I can't remember if I could have sworn the episodes come out at 9. Yes, it did, or no? How's it in regards to yes? Charlie is endorsing Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Alice. You would not end the poll,
Yes,
although we
correct.
might end it here because I forgot we still had it
Yeah.
running.
Well, before we end it, give your 1 to 4 right now. Give your 1 to 4.
Order them.
Order them 1 to 4.
All
What
right.
you're most excited for.
All right, now this conversation changed my mind. All right, so Acolyte, House of the Dragon.
Acolytes are 1.
Yes. Acolyte number 1, House of the Dragon number 2. Avatar number 3, Dune number 4. And listen. I'm a Dune freaking nut, y'all.
Dune 4 is. I'm on board with that.
I'm so freaking again. That's not a blow to any of them. And I freaking am so obsessed with Dune. I'm on the 5th freaking book. There's so many other freaking books in this series, and I want to read them all. I freaking love the Dune universe, and I just know that it's gonna be good. And I know that I liked the first one, and I know that they did They did well by the book. As someone who read the book,
Yeah, that's good.
So I trust. I'm just gonna sit back, relax, and enjoy. Versus there's curiosity with the others. There's potential that it could go one way or the other. So it's like I'm watching solely to be like, am I gonna like this? With the Avatar as well. That's why it clocked in at 3. It's like marketing looked really good.
Avatar 3.
Acolyte,
Say it again.
House of the Dragon, Avatar, Dune.
Okay.
So Avatar's sitting at 3 because, heck yeah, I'm excited, but also this one has the most potential to wreck me if I don't like it.
True. Yeah, that's if they. Well, I don't know, because you can just go watch the show. Be happy.
Yeah, we'll always have the original.
Versus if the Acolyte flops, that's like been, outside of Kenobi, at least for me, easily the most intriguing, anticipated project that I've been looking forward to. And if it comes out and it's just a dud, I mean, that's going to be like, well, that's years and years of waiting, and
God,
and it's over and done with, and
that's a good point.
nothing else to fall back on besides Revenge of the Sith. I mean, I'll watch Revenge of the Sith another million times.
Flop is a strong word. I wouldn't look at any of the Star Wars Disney Plus shows and label any of them as a flop.
Yes, I agree. I wouldn't do that either. I wouldn't do that either.
It's like, Jesus.
I wouldn't do that either. But if it's like some Disney Plus shows have turned out to not be what was pitched, right?
Keep talking. No, frick. Keep talking.
But yeah, all right. My ranking would probably be Dune would be 4th, House of the Dragon would be 3rd. I think probably I would probably go Avatar 2, Acolyte 1. I think probably
Okay.
after talking about it, I think I'm gonna swap Avatar and Acolyte.
Because you make a good point. Avatar, no matter what, we will always have the original.
Yes. The Acolyte, the potential
Yeah, it has the
could
most right
be
now.
the most unique, interesting, tense, tragic, meaningful Disney Plus show that we have gotten.
We'll see.
It has it has that potential. So if it executes, hits a 475-foot grand slam homer out of the park, then yeah, number one easily. And that leaked celebration trailer was pretty good.
Oh, we can't admit
It
that.
was pretty good.
One, you don't have to ban yourself. No, you're the only person who's ever said sorry after I deleted your, I only deleted it because there was an offensive word in there. You do not have to ban yourself. Just don't use that word. Just don't use that word.
But yeah, Avatar, the show, like, even if the live action show is awesome, we still have the animated show. And that was
Yeah, no
awesome.
matter what.
Even if it's trash,
Okay, that's a strong word.
we have the animated show. So it's like, we know what we're getting story-wise. Yes, the story is incredible. If they knock it out of the park, yes, awesome. Which it looks like visually, the bending and the music and the tone and the sets and the worlds, like it looks fantastic. So I'm definitely very excited to see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would go Acolyte, Avatar, House of the Dragon.
Well,
Dune.
Acolyte wins with a resounding 43%. In second place is Avatar, Last Airbender. Third is House of the Dragon. Fourth is Dune 2. So, looks like we're all...
I just totally followed the poll results there.
Yep. No, I mean, we're all pretty... Everyone's pretty much on the same page as you, so,
Yeah, overall, can't go wrong with any of the four. I'm pretty sure the majority of us are all going to watch
it's going to be a good year.
close
Zach,
to
what's
all
up?
four of them, so...
Good to see you. I'm sorry if you're just now tuning in, because we're getting ready. We're not going for our usual... We're not going for... What are you laughing at?
Sal. Netflix Avatar can't be worse than the Sham.
Oh, goodness. We'll find out.
It would be tough. That would be a tough feat to pull
think
off,
this
so.
fandom can't handle that. We would all just cease to exist. But yes, I think we've reached our hour. This was a good stream. I have to go blow my nose and have a cough drop, so apologies that we're not going for longer tonight, but hopefully if we rest up, this means we'll go. I don't have a theme yet for next week. So as always, drop some ideas in the comments if there's any topics that you guys would like to hear us discuss, or maybe we'll have like a debate topic or something next week.
Does Mace Windu survive Revenge of the Sith?
Oh, Jesus Lord. We're never doing that again. I'm pretty sure we
haven't talked about Mace Windu in like the last three
since
streams.
last year.
Since the last one, he was on the ranking, so we didn't talk about him then. But before that, it's been like
oh god,
3 or 4 Dork discourses since we've talked about Mace Windu surviving Revenge of the Sith. So
I will
maybe next time. The whole stream. We'll stream for 4 hours.
No, we can't. We can't do that again. We cannot do that. It's been rainy here in Australia, and it's supposed to be summer. Oh, rats. If it helps, it's supposed to rain here tomorrow, I hope. Ooh, we could talk about John Wick, Sal. That's a good option. Good option. Yeah, as always, or in the, once the video is,
I'm thinking on.
Heck, okay. All right, well, on that note, thank you all so much for joining. Sorry again.
Yeah.
The energy, luckily Tom's energy makes
I'm
up.
thinking on.
Jesus, okay. All right. Thank goodness Tom's energy makes up for my lack of it. Apologies that I'm not my usual self tonight, folks, but we will be back and better than ever the next week. But regardless, thank you so much for joining us for this year's first episode of Dork Discourse. Stay tuned. We're going to be back every week, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Do the math if you're central. Sorry.
Do the math if you're central.
Low-key.
2 hours.
Central time
2
gets the boot. Although, except for when I was growing up.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Except for when I was growing up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Whenever you would watch
8.
Disney Channel or Nickelodeon, they would always say, Monday at 8, 7 Central. And I used to be like, what the heck is Central? So, I lied. Central time, y'all got it easy. I'm kidding. And again, Happy New Year, folks. Happy 2024.
Mountain and Pacific just get the boot.
Yes, we do.
And it's crazy because Disney is a Western Pacific time centrally
that
located.
That can be our debate next week.
Time zone debates?
Next week topic, what time should Disney release their episodes? All right.
Exactly what they're doing now.
Everybody.
Exactly what they're doing now is perfect.
Yes, keep it at 6 o'clock, please, Pacific. Thank you all so much for joining. We love you guys. We missed you guys over the holiday break, but we hope you guys had an amazing holiday season and that you're enjoying the first week here of the new year. Very fitting that it started on a Monday. Kind of weird that it lined up that way, but kind of fitting. So happy first week. Happy first Tuesday of the new year. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week in store. I'll catch you guys over on Evil Ewok, which you can now be streamed live on my channel as well. So you can tune in either here or over on ADHD with Zach and Alex. Regardless, I'll catch you there on Thursday. I'm going to drop a new video tomorrow, probably my first of the new year, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, definitely lots to look forward to. So we'll catch you guys again.
For those watching Percy Jackson immediately right now, enjoy.
Yes,
We're
if
not
it's
too
out.
far behind you.
If
They
it's
said it's
out.
out. People confirmed it's out. So we're good.
All right, we're going. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Love you guys. That was my Tuscan Raider. Sweet. There's my energy. Here I am saying I have no energy, and then I learned that Percy Jackson's out, and I'm like, yeah. All right, love you guys. Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see you all again very, very soon.
Someone's gonna clip that and edit the Tuscan Raider sound.
I hope they do.
That'd be awesome.
I'll do it first. I'll freaking do it. On
I
that
need a little more rasp, I think.
Yeah, you need to smoke some cigs first.
How's that? That hurt it a little bit.
Okay. Sounded like
It's pretty good.
strained your vocal
Pretty
cords.
good.
Holy smokes, I didn't know you had that in you. Oh god, we've got to go. All right, before Tom Luke totally sprains his throat. Good, that was good.
Thank you, Zeta. Thank you. Thank you.
Cat's like, beat it. Time for Percy Jackson. I had no idea it was out. I'm so excited. Thank you all so much for watching. That was scarily. Right down. Neighbors are like, what the heck?
Man, that's Seal.
Subtitles. Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay, yes. All right. We're gonna go. Thank you all so much for watching. Catch you guys again very, very soon. You were gonna epic do that. That's why I tried to mute it, but I freaking knew.